Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. Coming up, Supreme Court delivers judgment in 8 governorship appeals, sacks Kano, Plateau and Zamfara state governors, and affirms election of Lagos, Ebonyi, Abia and Cross River state governors. President Tinubu suspends the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta, and directs EFCC chairman to conduct a probe. And legal practitioners in Lagos take to the streets to protest alleged police brutality against their colleagues and Nigerians. Plus, Israel presents its defense at the International Court of Justice in response to South Africa's genocide case. I'll begin News Round with the Supreme Court's verdict on 8 appeals arising from the outcome of the March 18, 2023 governorship elections in the country. From the northern part of the country, and in what could be described as landmark judgments, the Apex Court reversed the sacking of Governors Abba Yusuf of Kano State, Caleb Mufwang of Plateau State, and Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State. The court also affirmed the election of Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State.
It was a full day at the Supreme Court as the Apex Court takes a decision on appeal of 8 governorship cases. The governors of Kano, Plateau, Bauchi and Zamfara states were in the courtroom waiting for the final outcome. In reaching a decision on the Kano governorship appeal, the Apex Court says the Court of Appeal was wrong in affirming the decision of the tribunal, which held that Governor Yusuf did not win the majority of lawful votes cast at the governorship election. The court subsequently restored the deducted votes for the candidates of the new Nigerian People's Party to reinstate the victory of Governor Yusuf. On the Plateau governorship election, the court held that the issue of party primary was an internal affair of political parties over which the tribunal and Court of Appeal lacked jurisdiction. The court also pointed out that contrary to the claim of the petitioners and the judgment of the appellate court, the order of the Plateau High Court was not disobeyed by the PDP, as evidence showed that a fresh primary was conducted. In her submission, Justice Helen Ogunwumiju berated the Court of Appeal for going into the issue of nomination and sponsorship, despite several decisions of the Apex Court to the effect that the political party cannot challenge the primary election of another. For the Zamfara governorship judgment, the Supreme Court held that the petitioners never provided sufficient evidence to prove allegations of irregularities, non-compliance and corrupt practices. The Apex Court subsequently set aside the order for a rerun in 3 local government areas of the state.
It was strange that the lower court came to the conclusion that the allegation of malpractice was proved in some areas and that a fresh election should be conducted. Thankfully, the Supreme Court has rightly intervened and no other election will be conducted because the governor of Zamfara State, duly elected by the people of Zamfara State, stands to my right.
The order of court was obeyed, but most importantly, we canvassed the case from the tribunal to the Supreme Court that the court of law does not have jurisdiction to inquire into nomination, sponsorship. And the tribunal, led by Justice Rita Irele Ifije, confirmed that the court does not have jurisdiction. God bless their souls. And their judgment, the erudite judgment, was set aside by the Court of Appeal. And today the Supreme Court has done them proud to restore their judgment. God bless them.
The Apex Court also affirmed the election of Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State.
You remember that we won at the tribunal. They went to the Court of Appeal. We won also at the Court of Appeal. And now, for the 3rd time and for the final time, the highest court in the land, the Apex Court, the Supreme Court, has also given him victory. So we are very happy, and as it is said, all is well that ends well.
The Supreme Court is expected to review additional appeals in the upcoming days. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court also decided on 4 appeals from the southern part of the country, affirming the election of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, Governor Francis Wifuru of Ebonyi State, Governor Alex Oti of Abia State, and Governor Basi Oti of Cross River State. It was a unanimous judgment for all the appeals as the Apex Court upheld the decision of the lower courts.
In an unprecedented move, the Supreme Court sits to decide the appeals in 8 governorship appeals. The 5-member panel of the Supreme Court commenced the proceedings by dismissing the appeals of Mr. Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour of the Labour Party and Mr. Abdulaziz Adediran of the People's Democratic Party against the election of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State. In dismissing the appeals, the 5-member panel clarified that a citizen with dual citizenship can only forfeit his right to be elected governor by renouncing his Nigerian citizenship. On the issue of membership for Governor Alex Oti of Abia State, the appellants had contended that the governor wasn't validly nominated and sponsored by the Labour Party at the time of his election. However, the court dismissed the petition of governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Oke Ahiwe, describing it as frivolous and vexatious. The appeal court also affirmed the victory of Governor Francis Wifuru of Ebonyi State, dismissing the appeal of Mr. Chukwuma Odi of the People's Democratic Party. While affirming the victory of Governor Basi Oti of Cross River State, the Apex Court held that the appellant was unable to show that the governor forged his secondary school certificates.
The duly elected governor of Cross River State, who had over 266,000 votes and defeated him with over 79,000 votes, talking about his qualification, academic qualification, even when they themselves attached documents to show that Senator Prince Basi Oti, the governor of Cross River State, not only had primary school, secondary school, but also had a University of Calabar degree, Bachelor of Science, Sociology.
Judgment of the Supreme Court is, to my opinion, salable, straight to the point, and able to state that yes, truly, the governor of Lagos State and the deputy governor of Lagos State were both qualified and won this election. We are happy that today, Abia people can rest. Mr. Governor's election has been further validated by their lordships, and they can now face the real business of governance, with greater vigor. We thank their lordship for a very, very sound judgment that meets with people's expectation.
The decisions of the Apex Court settles the elections of these governors, and they can now focus their attention on governance issues.
And to River State, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Martin Amewule, has complained that the state governor is yet to make available both the medium-term expenditure framework and the 2024 appropriations bill to the House. He made this note during the first plenary of the Assembly in 2024, even as 2 bills secured first reading on the floor of the House.
It's the first plenary of 2024 and the 90th legislative day at the makeshift River State House of Assembly in the premises of the Assembly Quarters, Port Harcourt. The atmosphere is convivial as members are in a jovial mood. Soon the Speaker walks in and the business of the day begins. There are 3 items for consideration, and among them are 2 bills and an expected report from the Audit Committee, who plead for more time.
Mr. Speaker, a bill for a law to amend the River State Traditional Rulers Law number 4 of 2015 and for other matters connected thereto. Mr. Speaker, this bill has 3 clauses. Mr. Speaker, when passed into law,
a bill for a law to repeal the River State Advertisements and Use of State-Owned Property Prohibition Law number 7 of 2022. Mr. Speaker, this bill have 2 clauses. Let me
Speaking, however, the Speaker complains that the state governor has neither presented the medium-term expenditure framework nor the 2024 appropriations bill to the House.
The 2024 appropriation bill is yet to get to this August Assembly. As it stands today, we have not received the medium-term expenditure framework. We have not received the appropriation bill for 2024. It means the state at the moment is operating without a budget approved by this August Assembly in line with the 1999 Constitution as altered.
Speaking to the pressmen, however, the member representing Asare Toru, Honorable Enemi George, explains the idea behind both bills and denies that they are targeted at weakening the governor's power.
The House is not taking away the power of the governor to do anything. We're only strengthening democratic institutions. If we've made laws to strengthen local government institutions, we're also making laws to strengthen traditional institutions so that traditional rulers can independently perform their functions without fear or intimidation. We need them to be more active in governance. We need them to be more active in the democratic space.
The last has definitely not been heard in the Rivers political imbroglio. Many would be waiting to see the governor's reaction to the latest move by the 26 legislators who are believed to be loyal to the FCT minister. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
And after days of sizzling outrage against the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta over a messy disbursement scandal, President Bola Tinubu has ordered the suspension of the minister from office with immediate effect. In a statement by the presidential spokesman, Juri Ngalale, the suspended minister was directed to hand over to the permanent secretary of the ministry and to fully cooperate with investigating authorities as they conduct their investigation. The executive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission was also directed to conduct a thorough investigation into all aspects of the financial transactions involving the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, as well as one or more agencies under the ministry. A panel that is headed by the coordinating Minister of Economy and Minister of Finance is tasked by the President to, among other functions, conduct a comprehensive review of the financial framework of the social investment programs so as to conclusively reform the relevant institutions and programs for the benefit of disadvantaged households and win back lost public confidence in the initiative. Well, the federal government has launched a national philanthropy office that aims to raise $200 million to support small and medium enterprises in the country. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who launched the office at the old banquet hall of the State House, Abuja, says at least 1 million jobs will be created through the initiative.
Vice President Kashim Shettima is here to launch the first ever National Philanthropy Office to be established by the federal government of Nigeria. The initiative aims at expanding impact investments to support startup businesses and create job opportunities in the country.
The Nigerian Philanthropy Office will establish 12 hubs across the country, across the 6 geopolitical zones, 2 per zone. And it will also invest in startups in the fashion sector, light manufacturing, particularly furniture manufacturing, sustainable agriculture, and renewable energy solutions. And I'm pleased to say that 50% of all the investments will target women.
Vice President Shettima says through the National Philanthropy Office, vulnerable enterprises will be supported.
This initiative proposes to raise $200 million in grants and non-financial investments through local and international teams to provide support to startups in the key sectors within the MSME space that drives job creation in Nigeria. The overarching aim is to generate 1 million jobs directly and indirectly within the MSME ecosystem. Additionally, eligible MSMEs will receive grants ranging from 5 to 10 million naira and emphasis will be placed on supporting women-led businesses.
He inaugurates the local implementation committee made up of members of the private sector.
The private sector is going to drive it. The government is going to give them all the support that they require to ensure that it's successful.
What's important for us is creating the kind of structure and framework where we can create impact. And I think that's one of the most important things we're bringing on board, our expertise, technical support, and then being able to create clear pathways for impact.
Stakeholders here are optimistic that this partnership between the government and the private sector players will also help in bridging access to funding, which remains a challenge to the growth of MSMEs in Nigeria. From the presidential villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
And to other matters now, legal practitioners in Lagos State under the aegis of the Nigerian Bar Association have taken to the streets to protest against police brutality on lawyers and citizens. The protest is coming especially on the heels of the recent unlawful detention of a Lagos-based lawyer, Olumide Shonupe. Hundreds of lawyers who condemned this incident and other recent incidents of harassment and assault by the Nigerian police gathered at the Bar Center of the Nigeria Bar Association Ikeja branch, where they marched peacefully to the headquarters of Lagos State Police Command. The lawyers, led by senior advocate Mr. Femi Falana and the chairman of all 5 branches of the NBA in Lagos, embarked on the protest, chanting solidarity songs to register their displeasure at the conduct of the police.
Following the recent unlawful detention of a legal practitioner, Olumide Shonupe, by the Divisional Police Officer DPO, Gowon Estate Division, and other recent incidents of police brutality against lawyers and citizens, hundreds of Nigerian lawyers gathered today in Lagos at the Bar Center of the Ikeja branch of the Nigerian Bar Association. The lawyers are drawn from all the 5 branches of the association in Lagos, and after gathering, the plan is to take to the streets to protest against police brutality. They also plan to submit a petition to the Commissioner of Police in Lagos. But the commissioner, who apparently got wind of the planned protest, shows up at the gathering. The lawyers resisted his presence and his move to address them at the Bar Center.
Can we all sit down? Can we all sit down?
Following the intervention of Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, the commissioner is allowed to address the lawyers after listening to their complaints and suggestions for reforms.
The issue of what happened to the barrister is quite unfortunate, and we don't like it and we will not tolerate it, and we will never tolerate it.
Now we have the letter for you, Honorable Commissioner.
He also receives the protest letter.
Thank you very much. This is a major exhibit.
Thank you. This did not, however, stop the planned protest as the lawyers marched from the Bar Center past the Lagos High Court Ikeja to the headquarters of the State Police Command.
We shall always fight for our rights. Soli, soli, soli.
The protest ended where they began, after which they took turns to address the media on why the peaceful protest was necessary.
We have shown and demonstrated to the whole world that Nigerian lawyers have come to reject police brutality, police harassment, and intimidation.
He jacked me up with one other police officer, escorted me to the cell, disrobed me, removed my shoe, some of the things I was wearing, and locked me up.
The lawyers also say they will be filing a fundamental rights suit against the police for the unlawful detention and harassment of their member, Mr. Olumide Shonupe.
And a facility dedicated to countering human trafficking has been commissioned at Lagos and handed over to the Anti-Human Trafficking Unit of the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Agency and Lagos State Task Force on Human Trafficking. The establishment of the 5-room office is a collaborative effort of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, the U.S. government and the Kingdom of Netherlands and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime.
A 2021 data analysis by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, shows that during the reporting year, the agency received a total of 1,112 cases, arrested 779 suspects, won 22 cases, convicted 31 traffickers, and rescued 1,470 victims. Also, according to the agency's breakdown by zones, Lagos State recorded the highest number of cases received at 192. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime says Lagos, with its strategic location as a border town and commercial hub, is a source, transit, and destination for human trafficking, which is why NAPTIP, together with the U.S. Consulate, the Kingdom of Netherlands, and the UNODC, embarked on a collaborative project to improve the response to trafficking in persons, starting from Lagos State.
Just last year, 2023, our shelter in Lagos received the highest number of victims of human trafficking. We are beginning to see incremental cases of Lagos State indigents being trafficked out of Nigeria, which is telling. Say 4 or 5 years ago, indigents of Lagos State barely featured in our data sets.
The project, which is dedicated to countering human trafficking, will be instrumental in their goal to raise awareness, identify and assist victims, and strengthen legal frameworks against human trafficking.
By consolidating our efforts and expertise, we aim to create a robust framework that will not only address the needs of current victims, but also work towards prevention of future trafficking.
As we continue to see numerous individuals falling victim to human trafficking in ever-changing ways, the Netherlands and Nigeria continue to stand together in this fight against this heinous crime, a border-crossing crime that no country can face alone.
The TAP response in Lagos State is a unique model, which is the existence of the anti-trafficking unit of the LNSA, which are also members of the Lagos State Task Force, working closely and actively with the NAPTIP Lagos Zonal Command.
The major highlight of the event is the handing over of the 5-room Countering Human Trafficking Office to be utilized by the Anti-Human Trafficking Unit of the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Agency and the Lagos State Task Force on Human Trafficking.
And finally, a news round. South Africa's legal team has argued that Israel's conduct in Gaza is a contravention of parts of the Genocide Convention. The team submitted its argument to the International Court of Justice in The Hague, Netherlands. The convention defines genocide as any act committed with intent to destroy a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. The court is hearing the matter between South Africa and Israel. South Africa is seeking provisional measures from the Court for Israel to halt the bombardment in Gaza.
South Africa has contended before the International Court of Justice that Israel has violated the Genocide Convention of 1948. Pretoria has dragged Israel to the World Court as the conflict worsens in Gaza, and it wants Israel to halt its military operation.
At the outset, South Africa acknowledges that the genocidal acts and omissions by the State of Israel inevitably form part of a continuum of illegal acts perpetrated against the Palestinian people since 1948. The application places Israel's genocidal acts and omissions within the broader context of Israel's 75-year apartheid, 56-year occupation, and 16-year siege imposed on the Gaza Strip, a siege which itself has been described by the director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza as a silent killer of people.
South Africa's Minister of Justice, Ronald Lamola, gave a historical trajectory of the conflict.
The Palestinians have experienced systematic oppression and violence for the last 76 years. On 6 October 2023, and every day since October the 7th, 2023. In the Gaza Strip, at least since 2004, Israel continues to exercise control over the airspace, territorial waters, land crossing, water, electricity, and civilian infrastructure.
Meanwhile, Israel has vehemently denied the allegations. The amount of support at home has been tremendous for the legal team.
Look, where the South African government loses, it's not a case that we should be disappointed, but it's a historic day. We are quite proud to be South African. We remember the words of Madiba that our freedom cannot be fully celebrated if the people of Palestine cannot enjoy their freedom as well.
We stand resolute behind the South African legal team as they continue their presentations and arguments for the urgent application filed with the International Court of Justice against Israel for acts of genocide in Gaza. Recognizing the profound impact on the oppressed, the ATM condemns the egregious violations of human rights and underscores the critical need for global solidarity to address these ongoing atrocities.
South Africa has ordered the State of Israel to immediately suspend its military operations in and against Gaza. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
And those were the top headlines for the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. See you next time.